chilly.
Not too bad.
It's around 0 right now. It's not that cold. 0 is what? 30? I think it's like 35-ish. Below 0, it won't snow. It will freeze. So it has to be over 0. That's around like 5 degrees or so. 3 and 5 degrees. That's when we get snow. Okay. All right. Here we are at the Monastery Valley. This is the entrance of the Monastery Valley. We drove all the way from the end of the Monastery Valley. We're at the very top of it, where the central part of the Monastery Valley is located. The Monastery Valley is actually built, started to be built or carved. It's not built, it's maybe carved, starting from 6th century AD. You remember the time of Justinian, when they built the Hagia Sophia, big Hagia Sophia, the major church. That wasn't the only project that he was sponsoring. He was actually sponsoring many other churches and monasteries to be established all around his empire. You know why? Because it was very much easier to use the church system, network of a church, to have the control, the administration all around the empire. It worked well. If the church is working together with you, they already have their network, which is just starting to be built, by the way. With that, people do pay respect to the church. People do believe into church. Easy to collect taxes through the church. Church gets its cut. Christianity is spread. Win-win situation for everyone.
Except the church starts getting a lot of power.
That's the thing. Except the church starts getting a lot of power. That is the reason. About 100 years later, we start seeing that the church is now so powerful that iconoclastic period, the banning of icons, destroying of all the artworks, happens in 7th century. 7th century. Now, church is a lot more powerful than the empire itself. The administrative staff was not as powerful as the religious staff. That they said people are believing on the wall paintings of Saint Paul, Saint Peter, more than they listened to me. They were like carving the feet of the wall painting of Saint John and mixing it with water and drink it so that they believe that they'll get like superpowers or something like that, or they'll cure something if there's something happening in their body. That was the whole idea. And these kind of things, at the end, the rule says no more icons. We're just banning them all, and there has to be a certain standard to the power of the church. So the church is now getting in cooperation with much better cooperation with the state, and it lasts actually 200 years. After 900s, we start seeing the icons again. So whatever artwork that you're going to see here is going to be after 9th century. So everything here is the artworks here start in 9th century, even though these places have been carved in 6th century onwards. Doesn't necessarily mean that this dates to 6th century. It could be maybe carved in 8th century, maybe 10th century, maybe 12th century. Until 13th century, this particular monastery continued to live as a monastery. The whole idea is to train new monks so that they could go and establish new churches, so that they could establish new monasteries, so that the power spreads, so that the Christianity, word of God, spreads all around. This was one of their major ones. But is this the only one? No. There is another one very close to this one. There is one that we are going to see Sunday, that was still running as a monastery, even in the Ottoman time periods, until 19th century. Until 19th century, and it was sponsored by the Ottoman Sultan. I mean, Ottoman Sultan could be a Muslim, It could have the title of caliphate, which means you're the protector of the whole Muslim world, but it really doesn't mean that they didn't care about the Christian or the non-Muslim populations in their culture, in their lands. So they had to support them too. So these monasteries were important, but this particular one lost its importance and popularity around in 1300s because they lost a lot of the population with this new invasions of the Turks coming in and establishing new kingdoms around here. But the people, local people, continued to maintain the churches until the population exchange. 1925 to 1927, that's when the population exchange happened, and these churches maintained and used in especially certain religious days when they were having these ceremonies. They would come and pay respect to the certain saints, local saints that they have. How do we know this? Well, from the locals. And also, there is ancient graffiti on it. Not ancient, but like 100 years of a graffiti on it, dating to 1920s, even 1800s and 1920s, the last graffiti that we see, in Greek. And they said, I am Maria, daughter of Yorgos. I put my name here and leaving this beautiful country, my homeland, at that date, 1925, something like that. Those kind of things are still visible on the walls. Any questions so far? No, we didn't have the severe problem with the plague. It was a lot more in Europe.
Yeah.
But wasn't there any plague? There was, but not as severe as Europe. Okay, we're going to walk and before